Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 13th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see Alaska, British Columbia, Washington. Here's the Pacific Ocean. Check out the Aleutian Islands and this bit of energy here. That's what I want you to look at and pay attention to over the next couple of days, because this is going to move across the Gulf of Alaska. This is going to set up shop right here off the coast of Washington, Oregon. It's going to spread much needed precipitation back across some of the region, and it has convective potential across the Cascades and even portions west of the Cascades. We're going to dive into those juicy details here as we go through the video this morning. Taking a look at the visible satellite imagery right now, you can see the marine layer pushed all the way towards the Cascade Crest. A cluster of thunderstorms has been moving up across eastern Oregon, southeast Washington, and Idaho overnight into the early morning hours. That'll continue its trek northeast, and we'll dive into some of these details here as far as additional thunderstorm activity over the next couple of days, and then we'll take a look at the upper level low off the coastline. But you can see yesterday we had some of the thunderstorm activity across northern Washington. As we scroll through the overnight hours, look at that cluster of thunderstorms across eastern Oregon, crossing I-84 here into southeast Washington and continuing to move northeast. You still could have additional thunderstorm activity in this cluster here, as you can see it firing off across portions of Idaho still as we speak. Now, taking a look here, we have been collecting quite a few subscribers here over the last few days. You can see we're up about 150 just from the 11th to the 12th, and I just wanted to extend thanks to everybody who checks back daily and who has clicked that subscribe button, especially my channel members who monetarily support the channel. This channel is not possible without you. Now, taking a look here, I clicked on the Barstow Bike Nerds weather station here on Highway 395, Northeast Washington. You see the Seattle Metro and the Portland Metro here. And if I scroll a little bit more in, you can see that they had quite a few lightning strikes again yesterday. This weather stations are extremely fun, so you can graph this out and you can see just how far these strikes were and when they occurred. And you can back out and go to temperature and graph it over a month or week period, and it stores all the data for you in the cloud. And if you saw that here, look at this. It's even got a UV index sensor with it as well. And the website, the wind speed updates every 3 seconds. It tells you when it starts raining at your house. So again, if you want one of these, click on that link down below to save 10%. Now, looking at thunderstorm potential today, northeast Washington, some of eastern Oregon, and Boise, Idaho. There is a wind and hail threat there for some severe action across southwest Montana and extreme portions of Idaho, including Pocatello. And this is day 2, pushes off to the east a bit. But day 3, we got a little bit of an upper level low swinging through the area that's going to enhance some thunderstorm activity. Could bring a thunderstorm or two across the Cascades, Pendleton, eastern Oregon, Boise, Spokane. But then the interesting stuff comes as we go through the weekend. More on that here in a moment. Isolated dry thunderstorm potential here. We've got a lot of smoke with some of these fires produced across Idaho, so we'll look at that as well here in a moment. Looking at Seattle, first things though, it's 73 degrees yesterday, 78 the average high. We're going to remain seasonably cool here for the foreseeable future, because that upper level low is going to keep us cooler than normal here. We're probably not going to see any 80-degree temperatures for a lot of western Washington, maybe a little bit into the Willamette Valley. We'll check the temperatures here as we go on in through the later portion of the video also. Now, looking at Medford, Oregon, they're mentioning the smoke out there. They got air quality alerts, some red flag warnings up for portions of eastern Oregon, and they do mention some individual fires here. So, yeah, I feel for you if you're downstream from some of this activity. That surface smoke can be particularly nasty. Now, looking at the high-resolution rapid refresh model, there goes that cluster of thunderstorms this morning, continuing to push off to the north and east as we go through the afternoon. A few thunderstorms still, again, possible across British Columbia and northeast Washington, but watch as we go on through Thursday morning here. You can kind of see this upper level low is going to start kicking off some of this activity across eastern Oregon, eventually moving up maybe across eastern Washington, some of the Cascades as well. But then we've got some additional fun stuff coming after that, and we're going to take a look at that a little bit right here with the European. This is yesterday afternoon's lightning flash density potential. This covers a 6-hour period. So here we go through this morning. Again, you can see that cluster moving off. And then as we go through Thursday, you'll see that potential for thunderstorm activity increase here as we go through the day Thursday, and then we go through Friday here, and we start to develop this trough off the coastline. We start to bring some diffluent flow aloft, and we start to bring some bands of precipitation back even west of the Cascades. And look at this on Sunday morning here on the European. Check out that band of convective activity from western Oregon all the way through southwest BC. This goes on through later morning hours here on Sunday, and then potentially maybe additional rounds after that. We'll see how it goes as the low kicks across the region as we go through next week. So if we take a look at the European on the left versus the GFS on the right, this is at 18,000 feet. And if we put this into motion, you'll see the upper level low go through on Thursday. There it is for that increased chance. But then the big weather story sets up shop off the coastline. You see the pretty good model agreement, a little bit of differences in some of the shape of the troughing here. So it's something we'll be watching over the next few days. But you can see good model agreement on the low, setting up shop here and spinning multiple rounds of precipitation, potentially back up across the Pacific Northwest. Now, if we take a look at the European on the left versus the European on the right, we're looking at 6-hour precipitation. So we're going to scroll through here. We'll stop to look at Thursday really quick. You can see some of that precipitation from the thunderstorms and maybe a storm or two across the Cascades Thursday afternoon. Then we scroll on in towards Friday night here, and you can see that we start to pick things up across the Cascades, British Columbia, Blue Mountains, Idaho, and Montana. Then watch what happens as we go through Saturday night into Sunday. There's very late Saturday night. Check it out. That would be convective. And you can see this off the coastline from the previous European model run, actually the 18Z. We've skipped the 0Z, but it shows something similar here as well. Then look as we go to Sunday morning. Look at that area of convection that would break out across Western Oregon, Western Washington into Southwest BC. And the 0Z run showed the same thing. So we are getting some good model agreement, and confidence is increasing in convective activity west of the Cascades. And then as we scroll through the days after that, we go to 144 hours, and we're going to have this low. It's not going to be in a hurry to go anywhere, so we could have additional rounds of precipitation associated. Now, if we take a look at the GFS, let's compare it, because this one is hot off the presses, the 12Z run. We're going to scroll past. You can see Thursday's activity here, maybe across the Cascades, but then the upper level low develops. And as we scroll through Sunday morning, you see the shower starting to kick off here. Look at that. It's showing something similar here to what the European model was showing. So models are starting to come into agreement with that convective potential. Very fun to see. Let's get the hype machine going. Taking a look at the European 500 millibars. This is wind speed. So as this upper level low develops, what we look for here is kind of this negatively tilted trough. So when you do that, you start to bring that diffluent flow aloft, and that means some convergence in the lower levels of the atmosphere, and you can get some ascent, and you can kick off that thunderstorm activity. And as you can see, this upper level low not in a hurry to go anywhere. So hopefully we can wring out some much needed precipitation from this upper level low also. Now, let's take a look at the European on the left versus the GFS on the right. This is total precipitation in inches. And as we scroll on in through Friday and then through Saturday, you'll see Sunday comes and we start to bring some of that precipitation, even for Seattle. The GFS is not as high resolution here, so it doesn't resolve some of these features. But you can kind of see the general picture is somewhat the same. And, you know, we can always hope for a little bit of overperformance here. But you can see some pretty good amounts across the Cascades, Olympic Mountains, Southwest BC, some of the Rocky Mountains here, and even the Oregon Cascades getting some decent rainfall amounts, kind of skunked across the Columbia Basin. But that can still change as well, especially we're looking way off into the extended forecast there. But yeah, this has some precipitation potential with it. Now, in the meantime, let's take a look at this. We got to deal with the vertically integrated smoke. You still, I mean, if you can get above that marine layer out there, you'll probably notice there still is some smoke in the atmosphere across western Washington down towards the Portland metro. And as we scroll off in through Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to have that upper level low here. So we're going to continue to wrap a little bit of that back around into some of the areas. But again, a lot of places are going to be dealing with some of that stratus and some clouds over the next couple of days. Now, wider view of things here. This is surface smoke, and you can see this morning there is quite a bit of smoke, especially across the higher terrain of Idaho. You can see the Williams Mine fire there across southern Washington Cascades, and fires ongoing across Oregon and down through Northern California. So if you put that into motion, you're not dealing with surface smoke here for Seattle or Portland or the Willamette Valley. But you can see some of that smoke getting spread back north across the Columbia Basin as we go through Wednesday morning, kind of nasty looking, and a lot of smoke being produced by some of these fires across Idaho that could be drifting down towards Boise as we go through Thursday morning. Now looking at Seattle, again, seasonably cool, just below average temperatures here as we go through the extended forecast. No 80s expected for a lot of western Washington. Some areas maybe could get towards it depending on how things unfold with the upper level low. But if we take a wider look at things here, you can see the daily 2-meter max temperature. This is for today, Tuesday, August 13th. Put that into motion, and you can see some 80s returning to the Willamette Valley tomorrow. Drops back down a little bit here, but you can see we're not dealing with this excessive heat that we have been at times through the summer months. And you can see not many 80s showing up at all for western Washington and keeping us down in the 80s. For the most part here for eastern Washington, eastern Oregon. Now, the Paddock fire here, I don't know if that is right, but that is a pretty huge fire. And I know some of these are producing, as we saw on the HRRR, pretty good smoke. So again, if you want to know about these individual fires and know their sizes, you can come to the Western Fire Chief site here and check it out. There's the Williams Mine fire. There's the Leaf Falls road fire out there. Looks like that is no longer a problem. I didn't see any smoke coming off that one as well. But taking a look at the 7-day significant fire potential, you can see for Thursday, now this I agree with, that's NW 7 and 12. As the upper level low comes through, we're probably going to have lightning activity here. So they did a good job picking up on that, and we're no doubt going to be changing things up here as we go. But the good thing is some of these thunderstorms are going to have precipitation associated with them. So hopefully they're not excessively on the dry side. Now, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, you can see what we've been talking about, troughing off the west coast there. Above average, though, as you can see, across some portions of even eastern Washington, Idaho, Montana. And then the 6 to 10 day, can the troughing bring us above average precipitation? Cross your fingers. 8 to 14 days, something similar there as well. I also wanted to point this out. Even the Palmer drought, it does show some pretty extreme drought conditions across Washington, Oregon. So we really need this storm to produce some beneficial precipitation. And this is also the Palmer drought index. You got long-term and you got hydrological drought index here on the right. But you can see there is some severe drought across the Washington Cascades. There is some moderate across Oregon and other portions of Washington, Idaho, and Montana as well. But anyway, yeah, starting to get excited for this. As you saw, we're starting to get really good model agreement on the upper level low developing right off our coastal areas here. But again, things still can change. Subtle changes in the forecast, can take away some of that convection. So we're gaining confidence here, but you don't want to get too cocky just yet. But it definitely looks like some active weather is coming our way here across the region. So again, we're breaking this down day by day. Thanks for stopping by and watching today, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.